Welcome to That's So Vegas. I'm your host, Christine McKellar. I'm here in Las Vegas at the WCOBM studio right off of the fabulous Las Vegas Boulevard. And it's a wild and windy Wednesday. Wouldn't you say, Tommy Wind?
Yes, yeah, it is. It is pretty windy outside.
I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure. And I got to clarify something.
Sure.
When I was going on Facebook and announcing how happy I am that you're coming on the show, I called you a haboob.
Yeah, I saw that.
And a lot of people don't know what a haboob is. It's a wind in Arabia, in that part of the hemisphere, and it's this wild wind that blows through, and it's really fierce. And
yeah.
And when I was thinking about you, and then I heard about the haboob, I thought you're like a wild wind of talent that's blowing through Las Vegas. So it was a compliment.
Thank you. Well, I read that and I took it as even though I didn't know what it meant at the time, now I know what it means. I took it as a compliment. Thank you so much.
And for viewers who didn't know what it meant, but that's what it means. So now back to you. One thing I find really fascinating, at a really young age, like 19, you were getting accolades and awards for, what was it? You were the magician of the...
Yeah, it was the Best Teen Magician of the Year 2009, World Magic Awards, My Network TV television.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I don't even want to tell you what I was doing at 19, but I wasn't winning awards, I'll tell you that. So as a child, and I know, it's a common thread, I've had other magicians that we know and love on the show. Everybody seems it's either at 4 or 7 that thing kicks in. And with you, it was your grandfather who showed you a handkerchief trick.
Yep. It was a handkerchief trick, vanishing handkerchief trick. He still has the same handkerchief.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he still has it.
Amazing.
And he still does the trick in the show. He comes to the show and does the trick.
I know. I love your whole family's kind of involved, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. I was so fascinated with that. So here you are at 7, but you're also an accomplished musician as well.
Yes, yeah.
Which came first, the magic or the music?
It's, to tell you the truth, I think it was around the same time. They were sort of like, when we're on a racetrack. They were sort of racing each other to the finish line.
Great analogy.
Yeah. So, what happened was, I'll quickly take you through the story. My dad had a band in New York, and it was one of the most premier wedding bands in New York. They did hundreds and hundreds of weddings and corporate parties and events, and I would go to these things at 4 or 5 years old and watch my dad's bands play, and I would listen to the saxophone player, I'd listen to my dad on the drums, and I was like, wow. And then my dad used to play these videos of Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I loved the videos. So I'd sit there for hours and hours and hours. One Christmas, I wake up, come down the stairs, and there's a drum set there. And so everybody's thinking in the family, they go, okay, so he's gonna be banging on the drums.
Yeah, your mom's like,
okay. And apparently, I didn't know this. I started playing the drums, and I'm just hitting them, just hitting the drums, and all of a sudden, my dad comes running into the room, and I stop, and I go, am I being too loud? He goes, do what you were just doing again. Do that again. And I'm like, okay. And I started doing it, and I watched the Buddy Rich video and the Gene Krupa video. He had it at that time. Was on a VHS, and I watched it, and I just did what I watched them do. And he goes,
"Wow,
do it again, do it again." And he had the whole family come in the room and had me do it. And I just started playing. Now, and that was at the beginning. He goes, I can't believe. I was probably around 6 or 7 right then.
Really?
And my father, I cannot believe what you're playing right now.
So you just riffed right into it.
I mean, and it's not like we trying to be, cavalier about it or obnoxious about it. I just started playing what I saw Gene Krupa doing. Like, okay, so that's what I do. And then my dad actually taught me the intricate beats and further. So I started out with the drums.
He polished you.
Yeah, and I started out with the drums, and then from the drums, my grandfather had been showing me this handkerchief trick since I was about 3 years old, to tell you the truth. But I didn't get the bug until I was 7. And he would pull it out every Thanksgiving, every Christmas. He'd pull the handkerchief trick out. And then one day I said, something, let me sit down, because it was always, Poppy's doing the handkerchief trick. And then one day, I was 7 years old, I sat down, I said, I'm going to watch Poppy do the handkerchief trick, because even though it was in the back of my mind, I have no idea where this thing goes. And I'm sitting there, and I said, Papa, you got to show me how it's done. And he showed me how it's done, and then I started doing it for the family. People were shocked, and at that point, I said, wow, this is great, and I started doing it. I got the magic bug, and I never stopped.
That's amazing. And we were talking a little bit earlier that you can be left and right-brained. And I'm convinced it's the left brain that is the practical, logical, mathematical, because of my son being left-handed engineer. And then the right brain, which is the creative. So you're left and right-brained, but then again, if you think about it too, music's very mathematical, isn't it? And I couldn't pull a magic trick off if you beat me over the head. So there must be some mathematical something in magic tricks. You and your wife Stacy practice all the time, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I got to tell you, yeah, we do, and there's a lot of practice that goes into to especially the larger tricks as well too, because it's not just doing a card trick. That takes a lot of practice, but altogether, there's an extreme amount of dedication that goes into it.
Right.
As far as being left-brained and right-brained, I don't know, because there's times I'm very businesslike because, with the theater and the family all working together, and we have to make a lot of conscious business decisions.
Right.
And then I'm also involved in all of the promotion in the show. So I'm constantly figuring out new ways to promote the show, dealing with our promotion team. Stacy's figuring out new ways. My mother's figuring out new ways. My father, even my grandfather comes up with new ways, but he has his Italian accent. He goes, "You gotta do a bigger trick." That's what he says. So he gets
it across, though.
Yeah, he gets it across. So
Yeah.
and then so we're always coming up with new ways to promote the show, and not just the show, but our other shows, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Right,
but,
of course. Yeah.
Really, it's. I have a severe case of, I want to say ADD without being, I do, because I will sit there and I will be excited about one thing, and then I'll still stay excited about this thing, and then get excited about something else, and try to work on two things at the same time.
I'd call that multitasking.
Yeah,
I do it too. Yeah. I didn't
yeah.
know it. Maybe it is ADD.
Yeah, that's
AFGHIJK.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It could be anything.
Well, that's that's what I feel like sometimes, because mathematically, I love working on the numbers. I love working on the projections. I love working on what business-wise the show and the venue will do. But I also love the creative aspect, sitting there and figuring out what light is going to look best there, and what sound clip is going to be best here, and so I have to say I'm evenly both.
Yeah, that's, not everybody is, but I believe that you are, because I do know about the theater, and like you said, that is coming up. Yeah. We wanted to talk about that in the second segment.
Sure, yeah.
We have a lot, and then all the shows that you've booked at the theater. And congratulations again. The last time I checked in with you, you and Stacy were engaged, and now you're married, and you complement each other so well. It's just amazing. And your mom and dad and your grandfather all work together with you at the theater, right?
Yes.
And is it just your grandpa that gets in the show sometimes with his little Scotch nipper?
He it's
should I not have said that?
No, it's fine. No,
Okay.
My grandfather, he's 90 years old, and although his doctors say he should not be drinking any type of alcohol whatsoever, he says, I'm 90 years old. What are you going to tell me? I say, I can't argue with you. So, so it's all of us in the show. Stacy is my co-star in the show. She gets sawed in half. She levitates. She vanishes. She dodges knives, and and then I
That's
get
love.
Yeah. So, and then she does. She vanishes, reappears. And it takes a lot of practice on both of us working together, because a lot of the illusions we do, especially the transposition illusions, it's extreme timing, and it's more timing, believe it or not, on, without giving away any of the secrets, on her end than my end. I got to know the point to do what I have to do, but she's got to know the point that she's got to do to avoid getting daggered by a blade on stage or something like that. So there's that as well too, and we work great together on stage, and besides us, we're married and we're madly in love with each other, but besides that, our chemistry on stage,
that's so important, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
it
to
is.
have that.
And so we work so well together, and then also my mom is in the show, and she plays a few different roles in the show as well too. One part as the DJ MOM part, so she does a little bit of mime DJing in the show, and then also as she comes out, because my mom actually took me around to all of the events when I was a kid to do magic and dressed up as Elvis Presley, because I started out.
She probably had a crush on him.
No
offense, Mom, but we have to cut to a break here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We'll leave Mom hanging if she's watching. We're going to talk about you and Elvis when we get back. Quick shout out to the Red Roof Inn, my sponsor, on Paradise across from the Hard Rock Hotel. Don't go away. We're going to be back. We have more to talk about.